Good afternoon. Yeah, so I believe that after listening to Wilton, you have a good overview of what sensor evaluation looks like, because they are the trailblazer. They have started this many years ago, and so I'm here to talk to you a bit about what we are doing here at the University of Ghana at the Afri-SET facility that was established just a year ago. And so I will start briefly, and then I will call Mr. James Nemo to continue. James Nemo is the research associate on the Afri-SET project. So again, my name is Dr. Alison Hughes. I'm a senior lecturer at the Department of Physics, and I'm the principal investigator on this project and also the facility manager at the Afri-SET. And just by the way, Afri-SET is an acronym for the Air Sensor Evaluation and Training Center for West Africa. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, so I've put this up here to just show you what the situation looks like across Africa. Those dots are from one of the manufacturers who, have this dashboard that shows their sensors across the world. And if you look at Africa, you can see that there are just few of these sensors around. And in other parts, in North America, parts of South America, there's a lot more of these sensors dotted all across these countries. But the point here is that if you need to have an understanding about the impact of air pollution, then you must have data. And we heard that very well today when we had the opening ceremonies. Data is very important, but data is very sparse here in the sub-Saharan Africa. And so that is why it's important to look at the new kid on the block, which is these low-cost sensors, and see how well they can help us to have an idea about how the pollution level looks like, in the localities where we find ourselves. And so Afri-SET came about because of what we see. There's a need to have a center that is going to evaluate sensors in sub-Saharan Africa. Because in North America, or the global north, they've already set up that they are evaluating sensors in their environment. And you agree with me that the sources of pollution in the global north varies from that of what we experience here in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, you heard talks about overage vehicles. They have regulations there that you have to dispose of your vehicle after a certain number of years of usage. I believe their fuels, the sulfur levels are not as high as what we have here. And the roads, perhaps they wash their streets and sweep it regularly. I don't know how many African countries have that, luxury to wash your streets and sweep it. And how many streets do we have that are paved? Most of our streets are, just normal dirt. redite. And so with all these type of sources, our major sources of fuel is biomass. I believe in Europe, in America, they have a bit more cleaner sources of fuel. They use, gas, which tend to be much cleaner. So we use biomass for cooking, for heating, and all kinds of purposes. We have a lot of open burning all across the cities of Africa. We have a big problem with waste management. Very big problem. And therefore, our levels of pollution tends to look different from what is now in the global north. But it's good to have an idea of this. So we decided to get this project with these following objectives. The first one we wanted to do was to set up a sensor evaluation and training hub at the University of Ghana. That we have done. And then next, we want to facilitate capacity buildings of students and air quality practitioners in Africa. That is why you are here. So that's the second objective. The third one is to promote long-term sustainability and replication of the center. That is our goal. The beginning is Afri-SET West. So Afri-SET for West Africa. And we are hoping that by the end of this project, in 3 years, we will want to have another Afri-SET set up either in East Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, or maybe the North Africa. And so that's our goal. So we are trailblazing this, and we hopefully will want to have these facilities set up so that sensors can be evaluated in the different parts of Africa. Now, in setting up the center, what we did was to develop our standard operating procedures. You heard with Wilton when he did his presentation that you need to know what you are going to do. And so we did come up with our procedures. And what we did was to take our standard operating procedure to AQ spec in the United States. In Europe, we sent it to NALU and also Air Paris. They have been there before us, so we wanted to learn from them. We wanted them to validate what we want to do. And we got very good comments from them, which we incorporated, and now we have a standard operating procedures that have been validated by 3 of the top air quality evaluation centers across the world. So our next is now to, do the evaluation. So these evaluations are going to be done, and then we'll have a website, dedicated website to put up the reports. We'll do our calibration protocol, and then also ensure that we have it in English and French, and hopefully in some of the Ghanaian languages. And then this will be made open to the public. We hope to evaluate at least 10 sensors in the first year. We thought that was our limit, but in the first year we have 12 sensors, manufacturers, senior sensors, so we went above the 10 sensors. And we are now doing the evaluation. Our center in 2022, when looks like this, it was very bare. There was nothing there besides the regulatory grade monitor that we are hosting for the Ghana Environmental Protection Agency. And then the one on the right there is what it looks like now. Some of you were there yesterday. And you see that this has so many different types of sensors. And I will go to show you some of them in detail. So we have the 12 sensors from across the world, the air beam, airly. And these are sensors from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from Poland, from Canada, from Kenya, from Uganda, and across the world. And so these manufacturers, what we do is that they send us 3 sensors, so we want triplicates. And it's good because if they send you just one and that one has a fault, you will not know. And we've been having such experiences. Some manufacturers send us 3, and as Wilton said, the first thing we do when we get it, we put the 3 on in our labs just to see how they perform against each other and see the consistency and the accuracy in the lab before we take it to the field outside and deploy them. And some cases we had monitors which were shipped by the manufacturers but did not work. And so they had to replace those sensors. And then the next slide. Yeah, so these are some of the manufacturers that have sent the sensors. So what we do is that when these sensors come, as I said, we put them in the lab, make sure that they are powered. Some of them, the battery need to be charged for a certain period before you deploy them. And then also when we do that, we deploy them in the proximity of our reference monitor. We have the Teledyne T640, and then we have a TIUM. And so for now, we are only doing the evaluation in the ambient environment. We are not going into the chamber, as Wilton said, even though we have approaches from some of the manufacturers who want us to, do some evaluation in chamber. So we told them that we are available to do that if they will come in to give us the chamber to work with. And so we are still in discussion with them. We started off with just particulate matter. Hopefully we want to move into the gases this year and then start, because some of the sensors there have gas monitors or gas sensors. So we'll do that also hopefully in either the first or second quarter of this year. And these sensors, as I said, what we do is that our standard operating procedure is to do 6 weeks in the dry season and then 6 weeks in the rainy season. And preferably, we want to cover the Harmattan period, because the Harmattan is one natural, pollution source that we cannot do much with. And I think someone mentioned this morning that we are in this Harmattan period. Now the dust for the Sahara is coming. This is the regular time. And last year, I think somewhere in March, the Harmattan was so intense that the city of Accra was described as the most polluted city in the world.